most of them. So when he does order them to the back, at some point, his firearm discharges. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and shell casing was recovered during the follow-up investigation. He's collecting the money, and you see him flee. You get several good looks at his face. So this next case happened June 24th on West Mount Houston. This case is what broke this investigation wide open. He does enter the store, purchases a drink, exits the store, re-enters approximately 2 minutes later, picks out another drink, dons his mask, produces a firearm, and rushes the clerks, demanding money, again, putting the pistol to their heads. They comply as well, orders them to the back, trying to get money from the safe, which they did not have access to. So this one actually happened 10 minutes prior to the one you just saw. He does enter the store again, no face covering, sees what's going on, dons his mask again, and proceeds into holding them at gunpoint. As he's demanding money. You can tell he's still wearing the same exact clothing as he did in the previous one you just saw. It was later discovered he was using a stolen vehicle out of Harris County to commit these robberies, and as of today, that vehicle still has not been recovered. So as you can tell, Mr. Albert, he has displayed a consistent violent behavior over a long period of time. So from there, we were fortunate enough, one of the victims released the footage online to Grizzy's Hood News. And for those of you who don't know who Grizzy does, she operates a social media platform. It's an alternative news outlet, which often, and she does encourage people to release their footage too, to get suspects identified, mainly in violent crimes, and it has led to several identifications of suspects. In this instance, one of the victims provided her with the footage, and within 24 hours, we had a positive ID on our suspect. From there, the fugitive portion of the investigation, trying to find him, which was rather difficult, but due to means that I can't discuss right now how we came upon it, but we were able to track him to a motel in Montgomery County, Shenandoah exactly, and he was taken into custody without incident. And from there, he was already charged at that point, but several additional charges were filed after that. So one thing I do want to talk about, the victimology of all this, it's consistent throughout. He has specifically targeted fast food joints and gas stations. And as you can tell in the footage you just saw, that, it's mainly, predominantly, female employees when these stores are empty. He has went into several of them prior to the robbery. You see his face, and then has returned once other customers are gone. So, which leads me to my next point. So due to gaps in timeline of the known robbery cases that we have, the first being in January, the next one that we have identified is in March, and then a slew of robberies May and June. So with the gaps in the timeline, leads me to believe that he was committing robberies elsewhere. Whether I know he has family ties to Southwest Houston. He was in Montgomery County for approximately 2 weeks prior to us taking him into custody. So if he looks familiar, or you're aware of a robbery that kind of matches that description, we want to hear from you. Whether that be adjacent agencies or just victims, or even friends of his. We encourage him to come forward. And it's a blessing that we're only talking about aggravated robberies right now, because that's what you've seen. He's violent. He doesn't even follow. Most criminals, even follow one of the most important weapon safety rules is keep your finger straight and off the trigger. In his case, he has his finger on the trigger, ready to pull at a moment's notice. And the fact that we're not investigating a capital murder is an absolute blessing. So we definitely want to, do all we can, to ensure justice is served. So.
How is he communicating with the victims or employees?
I'm sorry?
How is he communicating with the employees, the people he's robbing? Does he speak Spanish?
No, he doesn't. So, and that's, unfortunately, a lot of our complainants are Spanish-speaking only, but I guess they understand the universal language of unfortunately, a gun in their face and what they're there for. And, in every instance, they do everything they can to comply, just to live. These are good, honest, hardworking people just trying to make a living. And, the fact that, he's doing what he's doing is, they'll live in fear for the rest of their life. And they've said that, to me personally. And want to make sure something like this doesn't ever happen again, as far as he's concerned.
It's very dangerous because he doesn't really know what he's doing with the weapon.
Absolutely. You can tell, for anyone that has any experience, handling weapons. And you didn't see it in the video, but he's dropping stuff, dropping the pistol, who knows what condition it's in, but, like I said, the fact that he has finger on the trigger is very discerning.
How helpful has Greasy's footage been to your investigation?
Absolutely phenomenal. She, as y'all probably know, she has a huge following, and people often lean to her, and some of my best important investigations over the year, they're all important, but notable ones, they have come from her followers identifying my suspects within a matter of minutes sometimes, or most, in this case, it was less than 24 hours.
Do you recommend people doing that or doing something else?
That's up to them, and that's just something that they got to cross. Because I do know some of the footage does show their face, and I can totally understand why they wouldn't want their face out there like that. So that's just something that they would have to, weigh the options.
Do we have a time frame when, for maybe possible acts that he may have committed? Do we have like a certain month or year? How far back are we, looking for any?
So he was released in, if I'm not mistaken, October of 2023. So that gives us roughly 8 months that he's been, free, walking among us. And, the fact, that it does, the first one that I know about is January, but, I feel confident there's going to be additional ones. And there's no specific date or day of the week or time. It's broad daylight, most of them. Some early morning, some mid-afternoon. And, so again, I encourage anyone that has any information or even suspects that he might be involved, we want to hear from you.
Do you feel that this might escalate and there will be murder or?
I can't speculate on that part, but, what we do know is that he has, a very solid history of violent behavior. And like I said, it's a blessing that it never got to that point.
The charges that sent him to prison 10 years ago, Were those for robbing, like the same types of places as this one?
Absolutely. So, believe it or not, one of those charges from 2013 is one of the same stores he was robbed in the past. And most of them are on the north side of Houston, approximately West Mount Houston to be exact. But, you know, who knows? You know, he's been all over, and you know, the possibilities are endless with what he's done in this 8 months. So that's what we're just trying to figure out.
Has he been acting alone?
So primarily, yes, that I'm aware of. As far as actually committing the robbery portion, on 2 different occasions, he has used a getaway vehicle and has had a getaway driver. We do have some leads that we're following up on regarding that individual that was assisting him. But that's another thing we're asking for the public's help, because I know someone knows something.
What do you make of the fact that he got out in October, and you know, obviously you don't have any sooner than January, but even 2-3 months later, obviously he didn't learn much.
It's very troubling. You know, I think 10 years would have been, you know, enough time to, you know, learn his lesson. And something that I do find very troubling with all this. So in the earlier robberies, he was completely masked up, you know, head to toe. Mostly he had some, you know, some of his face exposed. But over time, as you can tell, he quit caring about, you know, concealing his identity. And you can come to your own conclusion on that, you know, but I think it, you know, does a good job of painting a picture that, you know, is just more brazen and does not care. And you know.
And now he's charged in 5 of these robberies, is that correct, or he's charged in 8?
So he's been charged in 3 different incidents, but he has 5 total aggravated robbery charges, and some of them, you know, with multiple complainants. So so he has a total of 5 charges from 3 incidents, and an additional 3 felony charges of felon in possession of a firearm. So, and we do anticipate additional charges as well. These were just the preliminary ones that were identified and filed. So we do anticipate more.
But you have 8 total incidents that you connected to, but he's charged in 3 of them.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
8 total felony charges.
And do you anticipate he'll be charged in all of the 5 others?
No, not usually. So, you know, in my experience, a lot of situations like that, they will come into play on the punishment phase of, you know, justice system. So once he goes through the court process and all that, you know, they will be accounted for it, but just in a different way.
Any more questions? I know you touched on it a little bit, but as you were watching the videos, did he seem to become escalate from like the first time you saw this, or the second or third? Did it seem to get more?
Yes, I would say so. And, you know, due to the fact that he has, you know, I don't know if it's just for dramatics or what, but he makes it a point to cock the pistol in front of him. I'm sure it's for intimidation purposes, you know, but so on the June 5th one, he did have a discharge, and, you know, he definitely didn't do that before, you know, and the fact that he wasn't concealing his face anymore definitely paints a picture that he was becoming more violent. So.
And what day was he picked up?
It was Monday, July 1st. So just the other day. So we, lucky enough, you know, with our North Belt crime suppression team, everything kind of came together with, you know, assistance from outside entities, able to locate him, and, you know, it was the element of surprise that, you know, really did it. You know, caught him coming out to the car, wasn't expecting anything. We were able to successfully do a VCT, a vehicle containment technique, and just, you know, held him in place until we were able to get him in custody without further incident.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Am I time to stop? Am I good to time to stop?
All right, friend, thank you.